7:30 p.m. This game between the Michigan Wolverines and the Nebraska Cornhuskers, two blue blood programs, kicks off. And this will be an interesting game for sure. And today, I'm going to preview it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And let's get right down to business. I'm going to preview the Cornhuskers, the home team, first. Adrian Martinez had a big game against Northwestern this past weekend. The dude in that game rushed for 3 touchdowns, had a passing touchdown, had over 200 passing yards, several rush yards on the ground too. The run game was just big for Nebraska, period. Adrian Martinez on the year has passed for 1,463 yards, rushed for 412, and has 15 total touchdowns between those two, with only 2 picks and, from what I hear, far less fumbles than normal. He's not turning over the ball or making as many mistakes as he normally would. He's also 8th in the country, according to ESPN in QB rating, and 15th in passing yards. And he's been sacked 18 times. He's only 5 away from approaching the number 23, which is his record for most sacks in a year. So behind an arguably terrible O-line, he is working what I would call wonders. This team, especially its offense, is underrated by a great amount. After Martinez on the ground, you have Ramir Johnson, Marquise Stepp, and Jaquez Yant, all running backs who have rushed for over 100 yards, and all but Yant have a touchdown. Johnson has 2 touchdowns. Stepp has 1. You also cannot forget Gabe Ervin Jr., Sevion Morrison, who have 2 and 3 touchdowns respectively. Nebraska with that option, no huddle spread. It's all coming together. They look way better than they did against Illinois. I said whoever won that game's going bowling. It looks like the team who won it is not going bowling. The team who lost it is going bowling. I think Nebraska, with the team they have, I look and see, you got Ohio State, you got Iowa, you got Michigan. I actually do think you have a shot against one of us 3. I think it's very possible you could beat one of us 3. I think you win the other 3 games. I think 6-6 and even 7-5, and with that record, you'll get an easier bowl opponent, and I think you're underrated enough to beat him. 7-6, 8-5 is a real possibility, and I think next year Scott Frost can really build on that. But anyway, getting past all that, we'll see what happens. The rushing game, you run for 5 yards average a carry through 6 games. You face the likes of Oklahoma and Michigan State. Your defensive line, and we'll get to that later, but your entire team is well tested. Period, amen. 5 yards per carry on the ground. This is going to be pretty similar to the remainder of the year. 20 rushing touchdowns, 6 passing touchdowns, 2 picks. Nebraska is just overall, again, things are coming together on offense. On the receiving end, you have Samori Toure, 483 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns. You also have Xavier Betts with 187 receiving yards, and Omar Manning, 176 receiving yards and a touchdown. You also have tight end Austin Allen, 17 receptions, 163 yards, and Oliver Martin also with a touchdown. Toure is amazing. Watching him in that Northwestern game, Martinez was obviously targeting him the most, and even with some passes that were not necessarily the best, he put himself in a position to make plays. So you have him as a player. I would say their entire run game, even with their bad O-line, is very competent. I'd say Michigan, my team, we need to focus on the run, because even though looking at it all, Nebraska's better passing, and rushing too with their O-line. If we can shut down the run, I think with their O-line, we'll be able to get an effective pass rush off as well, in my opinion at least. Defense, though, Nebraska is like only allowing 15.5 points a game when you faced an explosive offense against Michigan in Michigan State, when you faced Oklahoma, and, Buffalo put up points last year too, and Northwestern too. Like, some of these other teams could have put up more points than they did. They didn't, though. Nebraska only allowing 15.5 points a game, only allowing just over 322 yards, 322.7, whatever, yards per game. 122 rushing, 200 passing. Your D tackles are beasts. They are full-grown men. Luke Ramir, Nick Henrich, just something else. Your linebackers, too. Between your top three players in total tackles are all linebackers. Jojo Doman, Nick Henrich, Luke Ramir. All Henrich and Ramir have half a sack. Daman has 2. Daman has a pick along with Ramir. Ramir also has 3 passes defended. Daman has 2 forced fumbles. Ramir has 1. And it's just your whole team, 5 picks, 4 forced fumbles, and 18 passes defended. That might not be the most impressive resume, but it's solid. Your defense is absolutely solid, only allowing 122 yards per game of rushing is something else. It'll be interesting to see how Michigan is able to attack that ground game. That ground defense, pardon me, getting ahead of myself here. That will be the most interesting part of this game. Michigan, on the other hand, we are not by the numbers as efficient in passing. Cade McNamara is not top 10 in QB rating, and he only has 731 passing yards, completes only 61.7% of his passes, has only 5 touchdown passes. He does, however, have no interceptions. And we do have a proven backup in J.J. McCarthy. 13 pass attempts on the year is not large by any means, but he's just a backup. Completes nearly 70% of his passes. 2 touchdowns, only 1 sack. McNamara has not been sacked all year, as a testament to Michigan's good offensive line. Actually, I'd say great, not just good. McNamara, he has a deep ball. He's smart. He doesn't make, mistakes he doesn't make the dumb mistakes. He makes some mistakes, throws behind people, in front of people, too tall for people, too short, etc. His deep ball is good. He can make big plays. The flea flicker, for example, the throw to Roman Wilson, and others, and he also trusts his guys too. And then when, we're at our own 1-yard line and guys are coming at him from all sides, he has pocket awareness, dodges people in the pocket, supported by his O-line, and throws to an open Blake Corum, who trucks for the first down. He makes intelligent decisions, but some of his physical execution is obviously, just off. And if it becomes a problem, they're even more of a problem. There should be some worry. But this is not a Michigan State, not a Penn State, not an Ohio State, at least for now. I think this game, Nebraska's a tough opponent, but I think this will be, Cade can still learn in this game. It's not like Nebraska is a Penn State on defense or has the intimidation factor of Ohio State. And I'm not belittling Nebraska when I say that, and I hope Nebraska fans understand that. On the ground, Michigan averages 5.6 yards a carry compared to Nebraska's, 5. And in our past 2 games, we have failed to rush for over 3 yards a carry, Big Ten games, which is a huge concern. Blake Corum is a near elite running back, if not elite. And the fact he hasn't made a big play against Rutgers or Wisconsin is really beginning to concern me. Really. Haskins is the ground and pound guy, about as many carries as Corum with 80 to 84, but only 369 yards, only 4.6 gain per carry and 6 touchdowns. Corum is 521 yards, 84 carries, averages 6.2 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns. You have Donovan Edwards, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. AJ Henning has also been used along with Roman Wilson and others on some of these, jet sweeps and end arounds, which I think is neat. We tried some against Wisconsin. I don't know where they went against Rutgers, but luckily they came back. So Michigan's run game here, this will be another test because, again, Nebraska's front seven is a great group. Just got to be honest with you. They're at, their line's great. Linebackers are great. If we can run, let's say 4 or 5, I lean more towards 5-6 yards per carry against Nebraska. We're great for the rushing game. And then we don't have to fear. Because if Nebraska holds us to, again, under 3 yards per carry, there are going to be some problems. There are just going to be some problems. And I know Nebraska returned a lot of starters. They have men up at that front seven. But if you can't run against them, you're not going to run against Penn State, and you're not going to run against Ohio State. And in the end, those two teams are the teams, along with your rival Michigan State, that you want to beat. You don't just want to beat them by a field goal. If you can afford it, you want to beat them by a touchdown or more. You want to handily beat that team. Cornelius Johnson leads in reception yards with 245, 3 touchdowns. Dalen Baldwin follows up with 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a transfer from Jackson State. His only 2 touchdown receptions, though, are from backup QB J.J. McCarthy. Roman Wilson with 9 receptions, 145 yards, and no touchdowns really impressed me. He converted a 4th and 2. He set up from a 3rd and down, 1st and goal play, where I think it was 40-yard pass to the 10, and from there that set up a touchdown. And Ronnie Bell, who is now out, also has a touchdown reception, and Blake Corum, the running back, also proved he can receive. He lined up as a receiver against Wisconsin in certain parts, and he has 65 receiving yards, 1 touchdown, 7 total touchdowns through the air by the Wolverines. On defense, we are led by Josh Ross in tackles with 32, followed by Daxton Hill with 24. Both have half a sack. Hill has 4 passes defended and a pick. Ross has 1 pass defended. Nikai Hill-Green is 3rd in tackles with 23 and 1 pass defended. And also Aiden Hutchinson, 4.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. I'm expecting him to have a big day against Nebraska. And this goes in part to my prediction. Nebraska, again, they do not have the best offensive line. Our defensive line, Christopher Hinton, Aiden Hutchinson, who I know is listed as a linebacker by some people. You also got Mozzie Smith. You have David Ojabo. These guys, the front seven for Michigan, and even in certain aspects the secondary, has really emerged in this aggressive, disciplined, fighting form. And Ojabo with 3.5 sacks, Hutchinson with 4.5, Ojabo also with 2 forced fumbles and a fumble recovery. I fully expect, Michigan's front seven to have a big day. Let's just put it that way, in a certain sense. Michigan is a team that only allows 12.8 points per game while scoring 39.8 of their own. Nebraska scores 32.3 of their own, despite the fact that they lead Michigan by 70 yards of total offense. All of that through the passing game. Michigan's also favored by 3.5 points and is projected to win 63.2% to 36.8% against Nebraska, which means Nebraska has a better chance to beat us than Wisconsin according to the computers. So, that is my preview of this game. Now, on to my prediction. My prediction for this game is that Michigan, looking at the Northwestern matchup, looking at the Wisconsin matchup, my prediction is we win, I would say, 17 to 28 points, covering the spread. Now, Nebraska fans may think, we almost beat Oklahoma, and we almost beat Michigan State. And yes, I understand. And you're a good team. And I didn't finish my prediction. It'll be close. It will be close for a half, maybe 3/4. But I think in the end, Michigan's physical toughness, Michigan making less mistakes, Michigan having the better O-line, and I'd actually say they have the better D-line in front seven, and Nebraska having the worst O-line, that's a recipe for disaster. Unless Martinez is a Heisman-level player, like, not dark horse Heisman, unless Martinez is this Heisman-level elite QB, I don't see how Nebraska is getting it done here on the field. I don't see it. So that is my prediction. My prediction is, something along the lines of, Michigan 42, Nebraska 21, maybe Michigan 38, Nebraska 20 or 17. These would be the things that I would expect. I think Nebraska will score some points. Their offense is more potent than Wisconsin's, but I do think Michigan will also be able to, penetrate their O-line even better than they did against Wisconsin. And we dominated that Wisconsin O-line. That's my prediction. If you like it or not, go down in the comments and comment your thoughts below, as always, and give my channel some support by giving it a like, hitting that subscribe button, and hitting that notification bell so you can immediately view my videos once I post them through notifications. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you around.